I've generated them over $7.8 billion.
You said billion with a B.
Billion with a B. You don't need to be the best salesperson in order to convert that lead into a customer. Once I hit $1 million in revenue, all of my problems are going to go away. That is the thing that I have truly dedicated myself to mastering. You either pay with time or you pay with money. But if you're such a good marketer, right, you should make the salesperson's job redundant. I got into sales when I was 16 years old, selling empty ink cartridges over the telephone. The founder pulled me aside and he's like, look, you've got great work ethic and I see something in you, but you're really bad. I went back the next day and I put the script aside that they had given me. And I said, all of these people, they don't care about you. They only care about themselves and what's in it for them.
What would you say is the biggest thing you have learned in entrepreneurship? Sabri, appreciate you coming on the podcast. You're from Australia, I'm from the UK, middle ground, straight in Dubai. How you doing?
Very good, very good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on, bro. So I'm going to start off the podcast like this. I always like to start the podcast with quotes nowadays and get your thoughts and opinions off of the back of that.
Sure.
So I've got one here. Everyone wants to live at the top of the mountain. All the happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it. Now, do you think too many entrepreneurs focus solely on the destination and miss the value of the journey?
100%. I think that I struggled with this as well early on. And, you know, you have a clear vision board, you have all the things that it is that you want to achieve. And for me, it was like that first number was like, I just got to hit $1 million in revenue. Once I hit $1 million in revenue, all of my problems are going to go away. And I remember hitting that $1 million and immediately it was like, I didn't stop and really cherish that moment. It's like you're always looking at the horizon and the horizon never comes. And we're living in a day and age where everyone is like just screaming about hustle culture and personal improvement and all of these things, right? Where it's like, ultimately, why do you make money, right? You make money for freedom and to actually enjoy it. And with entrepreneurship, it's funny because you quit working for someone for 40 hours a week so you can go work for yourself 100 hours a week. Yeah. And then you do it because you want freedom.
Yeah.
But then you're hustling, you're working 100 hours a week, you're in a bedroom, you've got, instead of one boss, you've got 10 bosses or 30 bosses, however many employees or clients that you have, they are your bosses, right? So a lot of people, they just get stuck in that. And they never stop to realize about like, why did I do this in the first place? And the money doesn't spend itself. So you need to create a life where you're working hard and you're sprinting, but then you're also getting to enjoy those things. And for me, I really buried myself in a hole in the beginning. And all I did was just hustled 18 hours a day, grinded so hard. And yes, there's a period of time where every entrepreneur has to do that, right? Where there's extreme unbalance.
A lot of hours that I've got to go into it.
To create a life that then has balance. But I think that we get a false positive because it's like the things that made us successful in the beginning, like grinding and working really, really long hours. We think that the more that we do of that, then the more successful that we're going to be, when that's not necessarily the case. Yes, you need to work hard. Yes, there's a period to do that. But then at a certain stage, you need to actually go, okay, why did I do this in the first place? What type of life do I want to actually create myself? And then build a business that also supports that lifestyle and put the people in the right places to allow you to do that. So you're not just thinking, I just got to get to this target and then I'm going to be happy. Because all the things that you have right now, you told yourself that you'd be happy if you hit them. And if you're still chasing and you're still climbing and you're not stopping to cherish, why do you think that you're going to stop when you hit 10 million and you're going to stop and smell the roses then when you told your same self that when you hit 1 million?
Yeah, you're never really going to stop. When you were chasing that $1 million for your first thing, what was the life you were trying to create for yourself?
For me, I was raised by a single parent mother in a small beach town called Byron Bay. And I watched my mum hold down 3 jobs to provide an incredible upbringing for me and my sister. And, you know, there was a lack of money in our household, but there was certainly not a lack of love. But I think there's enough problems in the world and money shouldn't be one of them. So for me, I was like, I knew that I wanted to start a family. And I'd been with my now wife, my girlfriend, for about 5 years or so when I was really trying to secure that bag. And I was like, okay, in order for me to do that, I know that I want to be in a place of abundance. I don't want to be having kids or bringing children into this world either I don't have the money to support them. So for me, that's what I was chasing. I was chasing freedom, and I was chasing for there to not have to be money problems, and not for me to always be stressing out about how am I going to pay for this, or even that to be a consideration when I'm thinking about bringing people into this world.
Interesting fact you just said there, right? That you grew up with not much money, your single mother, and your sister, right? And usually in a case like that, someone would then turn around and say, I wanted to change this and I wanted to make money. What I picked up what you just said there is that you wanted a family. Wow, what was important about having a family for you and starting your own family? Because
Yeah.
you said that almost as if, and correct me if I'm wrong, almost as if that was more important than the money in the beginning stages.
No, I would definitely say that money was the biggest motivator in the beginning, but I always knew that I definitely did want to have a family. And, I watched my mum carry out a job that is typically done by two people, right? So I knew that going into this, that one, I wanted to have a proper family nucleus, and I wanted to have, a father and a mother in that relationship, but also they're not to be the strain of money. So I would definitely say that I was chasing the money and I was chasing the freedom in the beginning. But the one thing, while I had a lack of money growing up, I didn't have a lack of love. And some people are so poor that all they have is money, right? And I would rather be raised in a situation where, I'm showered with love. I'm always encouraged to chase the things that I want to do from a mother, than be in a situation where there's lots of money, but there isn't a lot of love.
Yeah, fair. Well, I haven't heard of you for too long, right? I think Australian entrepreneurs, for me, I don't see it a lot because I suppose you guys are complete opposite side of the world. But when I first come across you, I was like, right, this guy is, and the way I explained it to my friends was Australian Hormozy, right? So how would you explain to the audience right now who are watching who you are, what you do, and how you've got here today?
Yeah, I think that I spend most of my day trading attention for my clients. I've generated them over $7.8 billion.
Did you
I've
say billion with a B?
Billion with a B. Yeah. So I've always been fascinated by the number one problem that all businesses have, which is how do I get more customers?
Yep.
I kind of dibbled and dabbled in my 20s. I had a bunch of e-commerce businesses. I sold a couple of those. I ran a couple of businesses into the ground. I had a successful exit. But in all of those businesses, I was always tasked with the number one problem, which is like, how do we actually go out there and make the cash register ring? And so that's what I've been deeply passionate about solving for the last 10 years. I run an agency, I sell software, I have coaching programs, but that is the thing that I have truly dedicated myself to mastering, because having the ability to go out there and buy eyeballs and flip them into money, regardless of what business vehicle that you're in, if you have the ability to do that, then you will never go hungry. And so that was the thing where it's like, I saw in all these different business models, like, okay, we can have a great product. Cool. Then we go out there and how do we spread the message about it? And that was the wrong way to go about business, is thinking about, I have a great product. Now let me go and sell this. The way that you want to be thinking about it is, what other products and services that sell well on these platforms? How do I create a product and service that goes viral, or that naturally has the unit economics where I can go out there and spend $1 on ads and I can turn that into $3 in profit? So that's really my world, and kind of what I'm fascinated is in building businesses. We've done it in 1,000+ different niches in 136 different countries around the world. So the stuff doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter where you are, where you're watching this from. If you're sitting there thinking, oh, this is not going to work for me, all the stuff that I do every day, it is universal. It's all based on human psychology.
So I'm assuming at this point now that you help other businesses acquire customers and lead generation.
Yeah.
It's funny because, when I was doing my research on you and all that sort of stuff, I've got my flight on the 29th to go back to London. And I've seen a whole load of YouTube videos and I've just downloaded all of them for me to watch back on the plane, all about lead generation, email marketing, acquiring customers, the whole lot, because that's something, and I suppose it's why this podcast has come at such a great time, because it's something I'm trying to do right now as well. Going forward into 2025 is all I want to do is just generate as many leads as possible. What do you think is the number one strategy to do so?
As someone running multiple businesses, I know how overwhelming it could be managing everything. Finances, taxes, expenses, you name it, it can definitely become a lot to manage at times. I used to rely on several different services just to keep everything on track, but that's where it all changed when I started using Tide. You see, Tide has completely changed the way I manage my business. With their business account, I've got all my tools in one place. Payments, expense tracking, savings, taxes, I've got it all in their app. That means no more juggling between different platforms. Tide gives me the simplicity and efficiency I've always needed. And here's how it's worked out so great for me, because in 2025, I'll be launching my own business, which you'll find out soon. And I'm doing it all through Tide. Furthermore, this is my business card for the new business. I registered my company and got my free business account all within one day, making it fast and reliable just the way it should be. Now here's the best part. I'm about to change your life as well. If you're looking for a similar solution, Tide is offering something special for you CEOcast viewers. When you sign up and use my code CEOcast50, you'll get £50 cashback when you spend £100 on your new Tide account. Terms and conditions apply. It's seriously a no-brainer for anyone trying to streamline their business. So what can I say? From someone who's actually been using Tide, it has changed my life more than I can imagine. It's just made things so much more simpler and easier. And I know it can do the same for you guys, which is why I'm so glad to partner with them. So stop wasting time on multiple services and join Tide, where you have everything in one place. Head over now using the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen right now and get started today. And once again, make sure you use that promo code CEOcast50 because that's when you'll get your £50 cashback.
I think the lens that I look at it through is, first of all, are people searching for exactly what it is that you do on Google, right? That's the first caveat. If they are, if there's thousands of searches going there every month, I like to start with the end in goal. People don't want to generate leads just for the sake of generating leads. They want to do it because there's some end outcome.
Of course, yeah.
So I like to think about what that end outcome is. People are like, yeah, I want to get more clients. Cool. How many more clients do you want to get? If you keep on asking why enough, you get to that end outcome. And it might be the arbitrary number of $1 million. I just want to get to $1 million in revenue, right? Okay, cool. How many leads do we need to get in order for you to get to $1 million in revenue? How many customers do we need to be getting? What's the churn rate like? What is the conversion rate of that? And then I like to back into that goal, because then once you know what that target is, let's just say that it's 100 leads, then when you're thinking about where do I want to actually advertise to generate these leads, that's the lens that you put everything through, because you're like, okay, cool, I need to get 100 leads. Well, how many people are on Google every single month searching for this that I'm offering? Okay. Either I've got 1,000 people searching for it, and then I can get 5% of those people to click through to my ads, come through to my funnel. Then I get 20% of those people to turn into a lead. Am I able to achieve that $1 million if I advertise on this platform? And if you do all of that and the answer is yes on something like Google, then that's going to be the best place for you to go, because those people are what I call have a bleeding neck. They've already got there's blood flying out of their neck. They've got an urgent problem that they're looking for a solution for. You don't need to be the best salesperson in order to convert that lead into a customer. If you look at that exercise and there isn't enough search volume, then Facebook is the number one place to go, right? You can push a message out in front of people and get them to raise their hand and say, yo, I'm interested in what it is that you've got. And the reason that I love Facebook is its ability to scale. You're not limited by how many people are searching specifically for what it is that you do. If you're skillful enough of a marketer, you can go out there and you can agitate a problem that the market might not even know that they have. And then you can get them to go down a funnel and take those next steps to then turn them into a lead. And then the bottleneck and the constraint of you being able to grow your business on that platform is not by how many people are searching for it, but it's on your skill to communicate and come up with hooks, offers, and funnels to actually turn that cold traffic into profit. And that's where the biggest opportunity for all businesses lie.
So what would you say is the most important skill set to have in lead generation? And, I'm looking at exactly as you're saying as a funnel, right? But then you've got the marketing side of things, you've got the sales side of things. For me, both is just as important as each other. But in your experience, would you say one is more important than the other?
Yeah, I'd say marketing is more important. Of course, you need to have the skills to be able to convert that. But if you're such a good marketer, right, you should make the salesperson's job redundant. There should be so much desire by the time that they rock up on a sales call. They should know so much about your offer, so much about you. You communicated it in a way that was so articulate that it spoke exactly to their pain points that they are almost ready to buy at that stage, right? If you have the ability to do that, then you can rely on not the best salespeople in the world and your offer will still convert. But the other way around, right? If you give like the coldest leads ever to a sales team, it's just going to be an uphill battle from the beginning. So the biggest skill that you can master is the skill of being able to communicate and what we call copywriting online, right? Whether it's a YouTube video, it's a YouTube hook, it's an ad, it doesn't matter. It all comes down to copywriting, the words that it is that you say. That's where 80% of the game is won when it comes to getting customers online.
So the word you say is the aim of the game, right? Now, in this case here, you're articulating your words very, very well. Me, I'm not the greatest, right? Naturally. Is this some sort of skill that you learn to articulate your words well, whether it be copyright, or do you hire someone able to do that? You know, I've done a podcast, we were just speaking about this before with Samuel Onuha, and on his podcast, he was mentioning who, not how. You know, rather than learning from scratch or how to do something, just find someone to do it. And in day and age like we're in right now, is we can easily find someone who's good at copywriting and, you know, use their scripts for YouTube or emails or Facebook posts, anything like that. Or did you learn it all yourself?
So I had an interesting journey. I got into sales when I was 16 years old, selling empty ink cartridges over the telephone. When I say selling them, we were actually buying them back off businesses. And it was my first job. I was making 300 cold calls a day. I was in this old converted shipping container that had no windows in it, in the middle of summer, packed in with 13 people using just a pickup old school phone and dialing. And I was the worst salesperson there. And because they did a group interview and there was 30 people in the group interview. The guy was actually from the UK, the founder of that business, and he sat us down and he gave us a script each. And he's like, okay, we're all going to go around in a circle and you guys are going to read this script each. We read through it all. He's like, okay, cool. I want you to pause here. It's too much upward inflecting. You need a downward inflect. I need you to speak with a deeper tone here. He went around, gave people the feedback. We then used that feedback and read out the script again. And then he said, you guys can all leave. Thank you for your time. But unfortunately, if you don't listen to the advice that I give you, it doesn't matter if you're here for 3 minutes or 3 weeks, you're never going to get any good here. So unfortunately, you have to go. And so they did that process a few times, and it was me and 2 other girls that got the job. The first week, those 2 girls were smoking me. They were making way more sales than I were. And then the second week, the founder pulled me aside and he's like, look, you've got great work ethic and I see something in you, but you're really bad. And unless something changes in the next week, I'm going to give you an extra week that I never usually do. But unless something changes, like I'm going to have to let go of you. And I never forget, I went home that day and I was walking back in the small beach town that I grew up in. It's like you either work in the kitchen as a kitchen hand, right? Or you do like some labor work. And I knew that I didn't want to do either of those. And this was just a wild sales job. And I was like, whatever you're doing is not working, bro. So you need to change something. And I don't know whether it was motivation or desperation, but I went back the next day and I put the script aside that they had given me. And I said, all of these people, they don't care about you. They only care about themselves and what's in it for them. So every single word that comes out of your mouth needs to be about how you are going to better their situation and what it is that they want. And it was like a flick of a switch. I went from, making 1 sale a day to making 10 sales a day. And it was just all geared about, instead of being like, hey, this is the company, this is who I'm calling from, this is what we do. We were calling businesses back to buy back their empty ink cartridges. So that's all I focused on. I was like, hey, that printer that you've got in your office? Yeah, all I need you to do is read the model number to that from me because I want to basically buy them off you. Yes, you heard right. We want to actually pay you $200 to go and buy your empty ink cartridges back. We'll send the courier. There's nothing that you need to worry about. And immediately it just changed. And so for me, I got my start in sales by doing that. And then I traveled to London and I sold everything that you can imagine over the telephone, one-to-one, one-to-many, you name it, I sold it. And I'd never read
Legally.
a sales book. Huh?
Legally,
exactly. And I'd never read a sales book. And it was all self-taught. And then only after being in sales for like 3 or 4 years did I read my first sales book. And then I was like, oh, like all this stuff that I'm doing, like someone had already figured this shit out. And I being so stupid, I didn't go out and get that information. I learned it all the hard way. And then the same thing happened also when I started to learn about copywriting. I took a couple of courses, I did a couple of things, and they didn't work out for me. And then I was like, okay, scrap all this shit. Just do what you were doing on the telephone, but just do it in the written form. And then I started doing that. And then I found out about people like David Ogilvy and Gary Halbert, the copywriting greats. And I learned a lot from those guys. But what I would say is that they didn't have to compete with the chaotic blizzard that is the internet, right? These half-naked models on Instagram, Dan Bilzerian feeding raw meat to bears, just this wild place. Like, Elon Musk smoking freaking weed with Joe Rogan. Like the internet is a crazy place. So learning how to hijack attention right now and being able to communicate in a clear way, the best way to do that is by paying attention to the ads that you see constantly in your newsfeed, right? They're pushing offers that are naturally working because they're able to spend more money than what these platforms charge them to run those offers. So you will learn more from studying one winning ad than 1,000 hours of reading about theory, about how to communicate, about how to write ads that sell. You just want to spend all of your time looking at ads that are selling and looking at the patterns of what make them sell.
And almost replicate them. What about organic following and having an organic reach rather than using ads or anything of the sort? Using someone's who's already got a following to use that as a form of marketing or form of lead generation.
I think it's a fantastic thing, and it's something that I am doubling down on, is really learning the art of organic. The thing is, organic has a funny name, right? People, when you think about organic content, people are like, yeah, organic is free. It's not free.
Really?
Right? You need a videographer. You need editors. You need to dedicate your time to do this. You need to study what works, right? What hooks work. You need to look at the analytics. You need to look at what the retention graphs are. Those things are not free. They all cost money.
It's funny you say that, because for me, my whole idea, going back to it, about lead generation 2025 is me focusing purely on my personal brand. For that reason, I've had to hire in a team for CEOCAST, so the whole podcast is managed. I've hired 2 of my friends who are specialists in personal branding, so that's on board now as well. So you're right, it's not free. It does cost money.
Correct. And so you either pay with time or you pay with money, right? And the question is, what do you have the most of, right? What is more valuable to you at this stage in your life? Do you have more financial capital to deploy, or do you have more time? And in the beginning, when you start out as an entrepreneur, you're broke. You don't have no money. The only thing that you got is time. So you use whatever that asset that you have at that time to learn that skill. But yeah, organic is definitely big, and it definitely takes time and energy and focus. But I think that we're living in an interesting day and age right now where, personal brands are becoming significantly more important. And I think that that's the future of business. If you look at people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, these are people that you wouldn't really think are influencers. Well, why are these guys going all in on their personal brand, right? Why do they have whole teams running that? Why are they buying platforms? Is because I believe that most of the printing of profits in the last century has been done through faceless corporations. And in the next century, it's all going to be done by influencer-led brand and personal brands. People want to know, right? Who's
people
the person?
buy from people.
Yeah. They do. They don't buy from brands. And that's why if you look at all the founders of all these big brands, their personal following is always significantly higher than the actual brands.
Yeah, of course.
Regardless of the reach.
Yeah. And the thing is, when we look at it in examples like Tesla, how many people will be buying from Tesla without knowing that Elon Musk is behind it? Would we see it as just like a boring electric car versus a guy who's a genius, who's also got a car manufacturing company, and we're buying his products, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
So, personal brand definitely goes hand in hand with that.
Exactly. And to that point, if you look at brands like even Mercedes and you look at any of those companies, like, who's selling more electric cars? Like Mercedes or Tesla? By a country mile. And so they have these huge established brands that they have established over generations. The best technology, the best engineers, right? But people are still buying Teslas.
Because of the face. What do you think? What industries or niches do you think are the most opportunistic for 2025? What can people make the most money in?
I always look at what are those big markets that aren't going to change. I think relationships, business op, and if I had to put it down to one other, I think I'm very bullish on B2B, right? Purely because it's a very high ticket. Businesses, you want to serve people that have money, right? And the B2B niche, people have money in that niche. But there's always going to be those fundamental things that people are always going to want to be in great shape. So fitness is going to be a good one. People are always going to want to have great relationships. That's why relationship coaching, all of that kind of niche is good. And then in terms of B2B, businesses are always going to have problems that they don't have the answers to solve, and they're going to need to pay people. So I think that if you're operating in those 3 different niches, you're going to do very, very well.
going back to it on what you just said there, you know, I've had these conversations with the likes of William Brown and another friend of mine, Usman Kayani, and you know, they always advise me you should do a B2B YouTube strategy, help people get on YouTube, help people monetize their audience, etc., so on and so forth. And for me, I haven't explored that before. But how do you identify if the market is there for it?
For me, I look at it through a different lens. I first try to think about like, what is the end goal, right? So like when you talk about like, what niche am I going to go into? What am I going to do? Like, where is it that you're ultimately trying to go? Like how big of a business do you want to build, for instance?
I mean, I'll give you a great example, to be fair. I've probably shared this quite a few times, more than I should have. But I've got a goal to make $1 million in 2025 in one single year, right?
Yep.
So that's going to be done in 3 different entities. One of those entities being, you know, helping people, whether it be people like yourself or along the sort of lines of entrepreneurs, get on YouTube.
Yep.
So if we break that down to 3 entities, that's roughly about $30,000 for that one a month that I would have to generate.
Yep.
So
Okay.
what would you consider that? Medium-sized business, you know?
Yeah, I'd say that's a small business.
Yeah.
Right. And so the way that I would look at it is through the lens of, first of all, that's very, very achievable. Right. So you want to solve like a burning problem for people. So let's say like a B2B YouTube strategy. Why do people want to do that? They want to get more leads, right? They want to get more eyeballs on their offer. And then you want to be serving people that they don't need to make they don't need to get a lot of customers from YouTube in order for it to make sense to pay you 10 grand a month, right? So then you think about, well, what kind of businesses are spending more than 10 grand a month on running ads? And then that's the kind of the lens that you look at it through. I would say that you can easily make $1 million off the B2B YouTube strategy alone, right? But my question to you is like, is that something that you're passionate about doing? Would you care about doing that if you didn't have any passion about in building that business?
So I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I love strategy and coming up with strategy for other entrepreneurs, or just looking at it with a creative mind of how I can improve someone. Or I've done this with an 18-year-old over my mastermind. He's a barber, and I just literally flipped his whole business structure around, and it's making way more sense for him now. So I just love the strategy side of things, as opposed to teaching someone the YouTube. I'll obviously, teaching YouTube is part of strategy.
Yeah.
But the strategy is a passion for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is. That makes a lot of sense. The way that I would definitely do it is I'd go, okay, cool. I want to get to $1 million. That's 83 grand a month in revenue that I need to do. What is a problem that I can solve for people that I can charge 10 times less of how much the value that I create? So for you, B2B YouTube strategy, cool. You go after businesses that make $50,000 off a customer and go, okay, we're going to build out all of your organic YouTube for you. I'm going to give you all of my SOPs. I'm going to show you how to shoot the content, hire the editors, do the editing content, how to come up with the ideation, all of that completely done for you. And it's 10 grand a month, right? For a lot of businesses, that's not a lot of money. And for you, you need to basically go out there and get 8 clients in order for you to hit $1 million in revenue.
Yeah, which isn't that much.
Which is absolutely nothing. Like you'd be able to do that purely based on the audience that you've built if you just made an offer to those people.
Yeah, fairs. And another thing that I'm launching as well, which is obviously the masterminds, but off the back of the masterminds, it made me realize that a lot of people, we had primarily males at the mastermind, right? And one thing that we saw was missing with everyone is that they haven't got enough brotherhood around them. So I'm creating a paid subscription service which is going to be hosted on School. And basically, I mean, I have no experience previous to this in generating leads. So for a paid subscription service with organic following, what would you advise me to do
I'd advise you not to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Why?
So would you be pricing that at like what, 99, 199, 129?
Yeah, $128 a month.
Yeah. So how many of those do you need to hit your goal?
600. No, sorry. Yeah, 600. Yeah.
Right. So what do you think would be easier to get? 600 yeses on that or 8 yeses on the B2B offer?
See, it's a tough one because the 8 yeses is at $10,000 each a month.
Yeah.
Right. And the other one is 120. So the price points are 2 completely separate things. One's volume, mass volume. One's just, a small number of people that I can do on my hands alone.
What I have learned from building 1,500 plus funnels in 136 different countries around the world is that a lot of times it requires the same amount of effort in order to sell something that's inexpensive that it does to sell something that is very expensive, right? For me, my own book funnel, right? I'm selling a free book that I charge $2.99 for shipping and handling. The thing is 8,600 words long. It is a long ass sales page. And the amount of effort that is required, even to sell something at a low ticket, is extremely intense. And you've got the downward pressures of you're just in a bad economic model, right? Even at $200 a month. Like, you think about the amount of money that you can spend to acquire a customer, or how many people would click through to your offer. It's not an exercise that I firmly believe in for the stage to get to $1 million. I think that it would be much easier for you to craft an offer that solves what we call a painkiller solution, which is it provides a solution that really kills a pain that market has. And when you do that, you can command higher prices. So I think that the thing that really screws up entrepreneurs at the $0 to $1 million is trying to do too many things. And they think that they have unlimited time. You have to really wield the focus that you have. If you've got your own YouTube channel, you've got podcasts, you're talking about launching a school community, then you've got a B2B YouTube offer.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much. It's like, you want to just think about it. If you had like a knife to your neck and I said, look, unless you hit $1 million in 2025, I am going to behead you, right? Which is the offer that's going to get you to $1 million?
The B2B.
Yeah. And so, like, if you believe that, then spending your time and focus on other things is a complete waste of time, right? Because the goal is to get to $1 million. It's not to launch a low ticket community. It's not to do this or a mentorship or any of that kind of stuff. It's just like, I want to get to $1 million in 2025. How do I do it? And you craft the plan there. And then everything else is a distraction. It's all noise. And then okay, I want to get 8 B2B clients. How many leads do I need to get? How many offers do I need to make? And all the decisions that you make, you run it through the lens of, is this going to get me closer to landing one more B2B client? And it might not be 10 grand. It might be 5 grand, right? And you get 16 of them, right? You will know that as you go out into the market. But I would pick one offer with one funnel and do that till you get to $1 million.
So then the question comes to, how do you build trust and authority when selling online?
Well, this is your world, right? You know how to produce content. That is the more time that people spend to you, right? People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And it's like, the best use case is yourself. If you're telling people this is how you do it, and you've already done it, then you are the proof. So they're like, okay, well, how do I know you can do it? Well, I've done it for myself. Like, I operate in a B2B market, so I know that this stuff works. And the more that people are exposed to your content, the more that acts as proof. And we're not talking about going out there and scaling crazy to cold traffic. We're talking about going out there and getting 5, 10, 20, 30 clients over the course of the year, right? So you don't need to build like some huge authority in order to do that. You will reach enough people that go, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He's done it for himself. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Let me give this thing a shot.
I appreciate your advice there, man. Appreciate it. I want to come back to yourself, right? What would you say is the biggest thing you have learned in entrepreneurship since being an entrepreneur?
Being a CEO isn't just about making tough decisions, it's about being at your very best every single day. That's why a lot of CEOs trust Sunnah Supplements, the world's first halal supplement brand. From halal collagen to electrolytes, Sunnah Supplements formulates products to help you perform at your highest level. Whether you're leading a company, a family, or simply yourself, Sunnah Supplements should be your partner to help you achieve more. The products are literally crafted to fit your lifestyle, your values, and your ambition. Every single ingredient is backed by science, and every single product is halal certified. And every formula designed to help you become the best version of yourself. And here's why I love Sunnah Supplements, because every single sale they make, they donate a portion of it to charity, which is something I deeply align with. So I'm not just buying products that fuel my body, but I'm also buying products that align with my values. With over 50,000 customers and having just launched in the USA, be sure to join the movement today and use the discount code CEOCAST for 10% off. Or I'll make this even simpler for you guys. Scan the QR code on the screen right now, which will take you directly to the website. And once again, when you're checking out, use code CEOCAST to get 10% off of your order. What an absolutely bloody bargain. So I want to thank Sunnah Supplements for A, sponsoring this video, but B, helping me become a better person overall.
This takes a lot more volume than you think. I think that when you get going, you sit down, you have these grandiose visions and goals, and you come up with how much work do you think is going to be required in order to get there? And what I have found is that it typically takes 10 times that volume that you assigned in your mind. And whether you're looking at somebody else, you're networking with other people, whatever it might be, is whenever you find greatness and you actually start to speak to that person about it, you find out, oh, it's no wonder this person has achieved greatness or is successful. Like, look at the amount of reps that they've got in. Look at the amount of work that they've gotten in. Like, I sat down with some YouTubers this year and we were looking at their short form strategy, and they were putting out 33-second reels that were pulling in 15 million views. And then I sat down with them and they were telling me about how much work goes in to literally shooting and editing like a 15 to 30-second reel, and it takes them 1 week. And I was like, oh, okay, I see the level of work that is required. You just look at it from the outside and go, oh, these guys are just like really good at this. Like, it's a ungodly amount of hours that they put into obsession over every second of detail in that short form piece of content. And so when I set a goal right now, whatever that arbitrary volume of work that I think it's going to be, I just 10x it from the get-go, because that's what I have found to be the case in whatever the pursuit is, whether it's getting in shape, whether it's running a business, whether it's how many leads that you need to generate in order to hit your goal. It's always just a lot more volume.
A lot more volume. Makes sense. What's one lesson you wish you knew before starting your entrepreneurial journey?
That there can be no progress without struggle. I think that we all want the trophies, but we don't see what goes on in the training rooms in order to get those trophies. And that you need to be able to do work that feels like play to you, and looks like work to others, to quote Naval. I think that sums it up very, very well. If like, you need to be able to lose yourself in this work, regardless of, you go into it thinking, okay, I just want to get to $1 million. Once you hit that $1 million, what separates the entrepreneurs that can go from $1 million to $10 million, to $30 million plus, is how long can you do that, and how long can you delay the gratification in order to keep on getting to where it is that you want to go. And it's you change your mindset from planning in the next 90 days to the next 12 months, and you start thinking longer. And the longer that you can push that out, the most successful people that I've ever met, the billionaires that I've worked for, they're not ever talking in 12 months. They're all speaking in, okay, what are we going to be doing in the next 10 years from now? And the longer that you can push out that time horizon, the more success that you will see. There are so many people playing that short-term game. How do I flip to $1 million? How do I flip to $1 million? That it is so much more competition in that market than the people that are thinking longer term, right? How do I delay the gratification? How do I put more profits into the business? How do I build a team? How do I build a really good product and a really good service that I deliver to my customers? That's the unsexy stuff, right? And the fishing is best where the fewest go. And that's where the fewest go, because everyone's so used to, in this society, optimizing around like the short-term dopamine hits. They want to be posting those Stripe screenshots, right? They want to be showing the success now, the Lambo now, all of these things now. They don't want to be burying themselves. And because we get rewarded for, in public for what we practice intensely in private. And for me, I think that I learned that. I had done many different businesses in the beginning because I was always optimizing for the short term. And it wasn't until I said to myself, okay, Sabri, you're going to go underwater for 3 years and you're not going to come up for oxygen, and you're not going to look where you are. You're not going to compare yourself with other people. You're just going to bury yourself and you're not going to come up for oxygen for 3 years. And it was only once I did that, did I start seeing real success. And I've just tried to parlay that into everything that I've done. And constantly push out those time horizons and make them as long as I can.
Going underwater, what do you think that done for you?
It did everything. It took me from being broke with nothing more than, $50 and an old computer that my girlfriend had bought me. I was making 150 cold calls a day in building a business. And it was more so the belief that it gave me about what I can achieve. I, like everybody, had a lot of doubts in the beginning. It was a lot harder than what I thought it was. But by, the first promise that you make to yourself is the one every morning of like what time you're going to wake up, how many times a week you're going to be working out. And I formed a very good relationship with myself of keeping my word. If you say that you're going to wake up at 5 a.m., you're waking at 5 a.m. because everyone has that little bitch in their head, right? That convinces them, hey, like you've been working out all
You
week,
don't
you're
need to do it. Yeah.
sore, all your gym clothes, you don't know where they are. Just sleep in. Don't worry about this workout, right? And that going underwater for 3 years, I was able to create the ability to silence that little bitch and to let that master like know who is in control of this situation. And when you get a win, you're just proving to yourself like, okay, cool, I can do this. And that relationship is the most important relationship that you can have in your life, because you need to ask yourself is, am I sold myself? Am I sold on the vision, the company that I'm building? Because ultimately, regardless of the business that you choose to build, you're going to need people. And the whole skill of salesmanship and being able to communicate, that goes from being able to sell customers to be able to sell team members to come into your business. Like it's all sales at the end of the game, at the end of the day. So for me, it was like just burying myself in that and dedicating that self. The relationship that I built with myself is like, I know that regardless of what the problem is, how hard it is, that I will figure out a way to get it done. And if you give me enough time and remove all distractions, that it's, it's a certainty you'll get there in the end. And that things you can take that for anything, because every new level has a new devil. And a lot of the time that new devil is new skills that you need to acquire. And it's very humbling when you have to go from being an expert in one niche and knowing one thing and one set of skills to go like, this skill set that I've got is not what's going to get me to the next level. I need to get some new skills. And then when you go to those new skills, you become a beginner again. And then you're like, oh, okay, I need to figure all this stuff out. But learning to be able to flex that muscle of figuring out any problems and never stopping learning is the thing that it taught me.
Sabri, I can see that you've got an incredible, great, strong mindset on you. And unfortunately, we're running out of time. So I definitely want to do another episode of you purely on mindset, because I think mindset is the most important factor for anyone in entrepreneurship. So I think we've got to do that, whether we do it here in Dubai before you leave, or if I come to Australia, or you want to do another visit to London, which I don't know why you would want to do that, but wherever it may be, I'm sure we can get another one in. But until then, for this episode, if people want to find you and seek value from you, where can they do so?
They can find me at Sabri Suby on all platforms. It's a unique name. And if you can't find me, don't worry, I will find you. I'll find you in the newsfeed somewhere.
In ads, yeah.
Yeah, through my ads.
Fairs. Sabri, I want to appreciate you for your time. And for everyone who's watching this right now, make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment something that you thought was extremely valuable in this episode. Until next time, peace.